This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 799. The One Thing Holding You Back from Your Dream Body, Part 2, by Matt McLeod of McLeodConsultingServices.com, and I'm Dr. Neil. Welcome back to another edition of Optimal Health Daily, where I read to you from the best health and fitness blogs for free, and with permission from the websites, of course. This is just like an audiobook, but from a bunch of different authors. And then on Fridays, I answer your questions right here on the show. Now, before we get to it, a big thank you to the citizenry. Their name is a reflection of all the individual artisans, designers, and dreamers who come together to craft the brand's collections one piece at a time. And this is decor with a social impact. The citizenry donates 10% of proceeds directly back into artisan communities around the globe. I'll tell you about the lumbar pillow I got after the article today. Now, for a $50 gift voucher towards your first purchase of $200 or more, go to citizenrypodcast.com and enter OHD. That's CITIZENRY podcast.com and code OHD for a $50 gift towards your first purchase of $200 or more. Now, today is a continuation from yesterday. So if you're new here, it'd be best to hear yesterday's episode first. That's episode 798. But if you're all caught up, I know you're eager to hear part 2 of this post, so let's get right to it and continue optimizing your life. The One Thing Holding You Back from Your Dream Body, Part 2, by Matt McLeod of McLeodConsultingServices.com. I get it, man. Life is hard, and everyone has stuff to deal with. But that's the point. Everyone has their own stuff to deal with. We get caught up in thinking that we're some special snowflake when it comes to our flaws and our tough life situations. But it couldn't be further from the truth. Everyone is trying their best to grudge past their shortcomings. We just have to embrace the suck and not allow ourselves to use our unique problems as an excuse for why we can't obtain something we want. So many of us fall into the trap of being engrossed in all the reasons our plans could fail and how terrible it would feel to fail, that we don't really think about how awesome it would feel if we succeeded. Quote, "Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action." Benjamin Disraeli. So if you're constantly worried about failing, being judged, or looking stupid in front of your friends and family, it begs the question, what are you so afraid of exactly? Let's find out. Fear setting and how to use it. Something I came across recently while reading Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss was his idea around fear setting. This thought exercise is essentially optimism disguised as pessimism, and it is a case where I think pessimism is acceptable because the intent is net positive. See a trend? I think it's amazing. It could be highly effective for many of you to use not only with diet and exercise, but life in general. The following is the shortened version of Tim's in-depth explanation on pages 463 to 469 of his book. How to do it. 1. Define your nightmare, the absolute worst that could happen if you did what you were considering. What doubt, fears, and what-ifs pop up as you consider the big changes you can or need to make? Envision them in painstaking detail. What would be the permanent impact, if any, on a scale of 1 to 10? Are these things really permanent? How likely do you think it is that they would actually happen? 2. What steps could you take to repair the damage or get things back on the upswing, even if temporarily? Chances are it's easier than you imagine. How could you get things back under control? 3. What are the outcomes or benefits, both temporary and permanent, of more probable scenarios? Now that you define the nightmare, what are the more probable or definite positive outcomes, whether internal, like confidence or self-esteem, or external? What would the impact of these more likely outcomes be on a scale of 1 to 10? How likely is it that you could produce at least a moderately good outcome? Have less intelligent people done this before and pulled it off? Using those 3 steps and actually taking the exercise seriously could change your entire life. What is it that you're so afraid of? Or are you just being lazy and making excuses? I'm not trying to undermine how difficult change can be or act like I'm fearless, but you need to be honest and dig deep for the truth to find the root of your obstacles. Once you stop BSing yourself, you can understand the possibility of reaching your goal is likely much closer than you think. But it starts with believing in yourself and not standing in your own way. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is the former decides to make the best of every situation, and the latter decides to become the victim. Same situation, but the successful people contain a growth mindset, and unsuccessful people contain a fixed mindset. But the outcomes are very different. Which will you choose? You just listened to part 2 of the post titled, "The One Thing Holding You Back from Your Dream Body" by Matt McLeod of McLeodConsultingServices.com. And thank you to the Citizenry. For a $50 gift voucher towards your first purchase of $200 or more, go to citizenrypodcast.com and enter OHD. Experience the difference. The Citizenry travels around the world, partnering with master artisans to create exclusive collections sold direct to you online without the middleman markup. And this is decor with a social impact. Every dollar you spend supports fair wages, safe working environments, and is a direct investment into artisan entrepreneurs. I got their iconic lumbar pillow that put the Citizenry on the map. It's hand-dyed with all natural dyes, like native plant extracts, no chemicals, and a single pillow takes a weaving cooperative 3 days to make, all made start to finish in a fair trade environment. I have it on the couch, friends and family love it. You can instantly step up the game of your couch or bed. Check it out. Come by citizenrypodcast.com and enter OHD. That's CITIZENRY podcast.com and code OHD for a $50 gift towards your first purchase of $200 or more. Dr. Neil here for my commentary. There's a little trick you can do that kind of plays off what Matt was describing. So to go through this process of sort of fake pessimism to try and turn it around into something that makes you take action, what you can do is create a pros and cons list, but a pros and cons list with a slight twist. So what you end up doing is you take a sheet of paper, obviously, a pen or a pencil, and then you write down what would be the consequence of you not doing this new behavior. So for example, what would be the consequence, or consequences really, of you not exercising, of you not losing weight, of you not eating fruits and vegetables? And what you end up doing is you identify the consequences in both the short term, and when I say long term, think at least 5 years out or longer. So if we think about not exercising, and we think short term, under 5 years, within the next, let's say 6 months, what would happen if you don't exercise? You might put something down like, well, I'll have more time. You might write down that you may end up gaining weight or at least maintaining weight instead of losing it. But in the long term, think 5 years out or longer. Well, now you might write down things like increased risk for certain diseases, muscle loss, weaker bones. I think you get the idea. But for this to work, you actually have to try it out. You have to go through this exercise yourself. And by doing this, hopefully, it will get some of those fears out of your head, and it will hopefully get you thinking about these behaviors more logically. All right, that'll do it for the Thursday episode. Thank you as always for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for the Friday Q&A and where your optimal life awaits.